Okay, thanks guys for getting on. I'm really happy that you've all been with me these past 2 days. I'm obviously very passionate about sharing my story, but I wasn't always super passionate about it. And I never had somebody to kind of push me and make me do a lot of these things. It wasn't until I was at a few of the live events where I got most of the information that I shared with you guys over the past 2 days. And when you're asked these questions that you guys have been asked, you kind of are just like, oh, huh. Because we never stop to think about ourselves. Like, if I'm sure you guys are very similar to me, where it's always about everybody else, right? You're always doing something for somebody else. You never are forced to just sit there and think about you. So I know a lot of people in the group have said things like, they don't have a story or they don't have a mess, a lot of us, for me, my mess is an autoimmune disease. Obviously, not everybody's going to have a disease to go for. So you kind of have to dig a little bit deeper and really try to figure out, what your mess is. Some of my favorite questions when you're trying to hone in and find your mess are things that you want to forget about. Totally honest. It's usually the things that you don't want to talk about, which is probably why sometimes it takes people so long to just talk about it. With my endo, I didn't talk about it even with my best friends. Literally only my boyfriend knew because he was kind of forced to literally pick me up after surgery, and obviously my parents. But none of my other friends knew about it. So why would I put that on social media? Why would I share that with strangers? But the crazy thing is, though, if I didn't share that story, I wouldn't have met Ashley. There's no way. And so you guys, when you're sharing your story, you don't know the big picture of things and how that can impact somebody else's life, and how the ripple effect that you can have is so powerful. And it's just by sharing your story. I think it's just crazy too when you think about it. This is part of your job. Your job is to put you first for the first time ever. I'm sure you guys have never done that before, because I never did before Beachbody, ever. And now I'm forced to do all this personal development crap, right? I'm I have to think about myself. Ugh. I have to go digging for pictures. My very first transformation picture, I think it took me 3 hours. I had to go get my mom's computer from 2008, something that I used in high school, to try to find a picture. It was a conquest. I could not find any pictures because I didn't take any. And I didn't realize I didn't take them because I was that self-conscious. So until you're forced to do something like that, you just probably won't. Which one of you guys did a Transformation Tuesday yesterday? Okay, I'm going to unmute you guys. I want you to just share, right? How did you feel it? Stevie, I'm coming to you first. And the oh shit kicks in. Okay, I unmuted you.
So it was difficult for me because I had to really think, like you mentioned earlier, about what my mess was.
Yeah.
And so it took me about 45 minutes. And I even asked my mom, Mom, what do you think my problem is? What do you think my mess is? And so then she started asking me questions. And then we figured it out that I always thought that I was the big girl. I didn't try out for certain things because I felt like I was too thick, or my hips were too big, or I was going to be the biggest girl on the cheerleading squad. So I kept myself from trying out those things. And when I put that on Facebook and Instagram, I got so many people saying, hey, that was me too. I was scared. I thought I was too big, or I was too thick. And so it was just beautiful to see how everybody responded to my story and the people that I connected with through my first time sharing that with the public.
Thank you. I know, it's really scary. It took me a long time to share my first one. But now, I mean, there's Tuesdays and there's Flashback Fridays or Face-to-Face Fridays or Throwback Thursday or, I don't know, there has to be something else, right? That you can be consistent and constantly posting. Mel, how did you feel? Were you nervous? You did a good one.
Yeah. I did one last week when Emma was talking about vulnerability. I did one then just kind of more about like my internal struggle of like dealing with anxiety and kind of going through all of that and how health and fitness and eating well really helps me. And the one where I was a little bit more vulnerable in got a lot more attention than just because yesterday I posted the Transformation Tuesday about like when I was in college and drinking a lot and heavier to now where everything's like health and fitness. So that one got some attention, but the one where I was a little bit more vulnerable got more. So it totally goes to show like how it's really important to just really dig deep and let people see that side, which is hard, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Teddy, you're next on my screen. I don't think I've ever actually like talked to you. I'd like know you on Facebook, but you're like a real person now.
I am. Yeah, we've never talked before, but I always see your stuff and I think you're so adorable. So I was like, I definitely got to be on this call tonight.
I was so excited. I was like, anybody that has the name Teddy, I need to be friends with.
I didn't post anything yesterday. I've actually been really behind with the dash, so I spent today trying to catch up. I'm actually still a bunch of days behind, but I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be on track, I need to just start today and just move forward instead of waiting to catch up. So
just go for it. You could do a fake Transformation Tuesday.
You mean like right now, like tell you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like sorry peeps, I didn't make it yesterday because I was running around.
Okay. I'll post something. I haven't done very many. I think I've probably done one that's just like a Transformation Tuesday ever, and it was like just my face. So
you could do that on Friday.
A face one?
Yeah, it's called Face to Face, right? I've seen those.
I've never seen that before, but
yeah,
you just mentioned it, so
maybe it's F2F. It's something.
All right.
Could be a good one.
Maybe I'll do a throwback tomorrow.
Oh, even better. Ashley, I'm coming to you. Thanks, Teddy.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to look tomorrow, by the way.
Okay, well, I failed and didn't do it yet, but I'm going to do one sometime this week. I guess mine's really hard, and I think this is one of like the vulnerable things that we talked about in that when you had all those questions. I haven't answered the ones from today, but like I feel like for me it's easier to talk about like endo and stuff just because people kind of know now, and like that's kind of old news, which for me it's not really, but for everybody else it is, and so they kind of realize that. And so trying to find a new vulnerability, I think it's more of like whenever people find out that I'm like working out or on a diet, because I've always been naturally slender, I guess. And so they always just have a really bad knee-jerk reaction about that and say, well, if I was your size, I wouldn't do anything, and you're too skinny and you need to eat more, and why are you working out and stuff like that. So I think that might be my thing, because I didn't do a lot of stuff. Like I couldn't do a push-up in high school, so I didn't try out for cheerleading because that was part of the requirement. You had to do like 10 push-ups or something stupid, but I couldn't do it. And so like I just didn't. And so now I'm like just started P90X3, and so now I can do a pull-up, and like I'm really proud of myself for that. So like that's kind of my transformation, knowing that like I am strong and I don't need to be like, oh, I can't lift that because I'm a girl and I'm just little, and kind of buying into that, because I think people kind of put that into your mind for so long, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can't do that because I'm too small. I'm not strong enough. So I think maybe that might be my but I need to do that this week.
I feel like that's like exactly that one thing that kind of makes you different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I have this, one of my really close girlfriends, she calls herself skinny fat because she's just like lanky, and I'm like, my head is literally at her hips because she's so tall. but she's super tiny. So, I mean, there, you know, you definitely aren't alone. She, like, hates it.
Yeah.
Like, her one thigh is, like, both of her thighs aren't even my one.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, too, because people kind of, like, it's the same. I mean, I don't think it has the same, and this is totally a new can of worms, but, like, it's not the same as someone calling you fat. But at the same time, like, it's still about your body, and you feel uncomfortable when people start talking about it and point out things about you. And it's like, well, ooh, I didn't realize that was a thing, but you kind of feel uncomfortable about it. So I'm sure that there are other people. I know I've at least started messaging one girl that I've been really close with, and she has the same kind of issue. And she said she started doing stuff because she saw on my wall. She's trying to, you know, bulk up a little bit because she's got little tiny wrists like I do, and she doesn't like people talking about it or trying to pick her up, and, like, you know, it's just awkward. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
I think that's that's an awesome idea, though. I mean, you know, it's finding, like, and the cool thing is too, like, you guys, like, kind of find your tribe, you find your target all at the same time, finding yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. Like, everyone just kind of, like, comes, and next thing you know, in a year or two of you being, you know, super consistent, you'll be very surprised. Like, it probably won't be what you expected. You know, it's so cool. I mean, you could even tell, like, the Bombshell Dynasty with Lindsay Matway. I feel like a lot of her coaches, they all kind of look the same. Have you guys ever noticed that? They're all, like, super pretty with blonde hair, right? And they're just, like, perfect. And then I'm like, man, right? You attract people that you're like. Sorry, Ash. Crazy. No, I'm kidding. But, like, you know, the big picture stuff is just from sharing your story, the ripple effect is huge with what can come out of it. You know, so even if you look at Carly Del Carlo's Instagram page, or Erin Pitcher, her Instagram is Erin_Morgan. They share their before and afters very often, you know, because the more you can share it, the more people are going to see it, and the more relatable you're going to be. Especially if you're on your journey right now. Like, I'm still on my journey. A before and after could be at any period of time. You know, it could be from, like, last week. You know, and Emma shared a really good one about going backwards. I saw that today. Did you guys see her post, Emma Owen? I mean, any kind of, like, moment of vulnerability is perfect. It's kind of key. Do you guys have any other questions? Do you want to share anything? Did you have any aha moments? Or did you want to ask me anything about how I opened up and share my wording, how I make pictures? Anything on Instagram? Facebook stuff? Nothing? I mean, we could just hang out and talk if you want. You can unmute yourself.
I have a question. So when you share your story, do you also, like, try to reach out to get more coaches with that same post, or do you do just your story and then do a post about wanting more coaches on your team?
I usually just do my story. Like, when you think about, you know, I don't want my story to be my call to action post.
Right.
You know, like, my call to action post would be like a now hiring. But what you could do is you can do, like, your Transformation Tuesday picture on Tuesday. Wednesday, do a different kind of Beachbody post. And then Thursday, you can do your call to action post. So you can kind of take people on a journey with you. That's what CJ says about her post. She's like, you know, imagine that you're on a big old bus, right? And you're going from stop to stop to stop, and people are going to get off because they don't relate to you. But then once they get to the end, your people will stick with you. You know, they'll still be on the bus with you. They wouldn't have gotten off. You know, and then at the very end, when you do talk about coaching and that is a thing and that anybody can do it, they'll be like, oh, I saw your post about, you know, on Tuesday, like, I'm with you. If you can do it, then I can.
That's awesome.
You know?
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, I just like if I'm talking about endo, my story, I only want to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you do your post about your before and after, like, that's just you. Just being all kind of out there.
Got it. Thank you.
I want to see. Thank you. That was a good question. Hi, Tracy. It's okay. I'll take a wave. You're on mute.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's not about sharing your story or anything, but I've asked this to a few people, and I'm just trying to get as much variety of an answer as I can. So I am only working like an hour to maybe 3 hours a day because I have my full-time job. So when I'm messaging and starting conversations and following up, it's very sporadic. Like I'm getting, hey, I'm doing great, how are you? And then I'll say something and then I don't get a response till the next day. So it's really hard to keep like a flow of a conversation going. So that makes it really difficult to get to the invite part. So that's like my biggest struggle right now is I have like 50 conversations started and none of them have really gone anywhere. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because on my team, we're actually going to have an Ask a Question day because I feel like that is kind of something that I love. Like, I love asking questions and getting to know people. Like, if you don't answer me, I'm going to ask you a question. So you have to answer me. It's like a game to me. I'm like, oh, what can I get out of you this time? That's how I get, my conversations always kind of going somewhere. I mean, I've talked to people for a year and a half, and Beachbody has never come up in conversation, but we built this great relationship. And guess when she was ready for Pio, when Pio finally got released, she was like, oh, I like that thing. Can I get Pio with you? Mm-hmm. Of course. So, I mean, it might not be an instant relationship, but, like, you still want to get to know people. So I just think, asking questions is awesome. There's a really cool app, too. It's called Conversation Starter. I think it's free, but it's really fun. It literally just gives you questions. So if you're ever, like, at that moment, especially if you're at work or when you're not supposed to be doing Beachbody work, like, I used to get in trouble all the time. I just pull up the app and be like, oh, I don't know what to ask this person. It's so cool. It's like purple and blue. I know you probably can't see that.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, Conversation Starter. So I just pulled this up. What do you want the most, more than anything? What were your first thoughts when you woke up this morning? I mean, I don't know who you're going to say that to, but, at least it gets it thinking.
For sure. Cool. Okay, cool.
I just like asking questions. I usually, stalk their Facebook page just to kind of get a feel of who they are. If they shared a post recently.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like,
I've been doing that in some things. I'm like, I have no idea what to say.
I know. You're going to get those people, but you know what? Sometimes, though, when you look at someone's page and you don't feel even like a connection, you're kind of like, meh. I don't even know if I really want this person on my team anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
I like that mindset because I think I've been so like, I need to invite. So it's just kind of.
It's like you're interviewing them too. I mean, one wrong person on your team can like screw you up too.
Yeah.
You can be like, ooh, I don't want this negative Nancy around me and my positivity. Totally. Right?
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. Thanks.
That's a good one. I feel like that happens all the time, though. Sometimes conversations just flow, and then some days you're like, you get a yes back. I've gotten those. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to talk to you. Yeah.
I'm like, how are you? It's so good to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
You. Like, clearly you do not, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That was a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I froze. Oh, good. I'm back. That was an awkward moment. Does anybody have anything else?
Was this the Danielle Laporte app, or is it the other one that's free?
I think it's a free one. It's like, it's pretty. It's purple and orange. Oh, no, you're right. It's Danielle.
Yeah, I think she had it free for a certain time. but now it's $2.99. But it was free at one point. I saw on her Facebook page.
Oh, maybe that's when I got it, when it was a freebie.
Probably, yeah.
But I mean, you can save your receipt. Whatever, right?
I'm totally downloading it.
I am too right now.
Yeah, I mean, this one just said, what does your body want? Oh, consider this. Work less, be happier. Could you?
So you just like pop these questions into your conversation. Does it like flow nice? Is it weird? Like
Sometimes just random like things come up in my mind and I'm like, oh, let's talk about this. What do you
okay.
think? I mean, what are you going to lose, right? Somebody that's not going to respond to you? You know?
I guess that's true.
Some of them don't really like work. I mean, this one is, what are you looking forward to? You can easily make that about summer.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? I mean, it's not like this one is, are you still tolerating something or someone? I know. It's like a first date question you don't want to ask.
I feel like I need these questions asked my husband at dinner. Let's play a game.
I mean, you never know, right?
He doesn't like it when I do stuff like that. It makes him feel really uncomfortable. I've done that. I've been like,
Uncomfortable with that.
Hey.
It's like, hey, let's write down our goals. Because you told me to, of course, Meredith. And I was like, let's write down our family goals for this year. And he was like, what did I do wrong? Like, what happened?
That's hilarious.
So funny. So that's what I'm going to do on my Friday date night. So, Tom, is there a goal you created before finding yourself?
Is there someone or something that you're still tolerating? Please don't say
Can
me.
you imagine if oh gosh. But yeah, I mean, like random things like that, you know. I always heard, compliment somebody is like a best way to, start conversations and just like genuine stuff. Like I'm not going to go around and be like, oh my God, your profile picture is awesome. When it's like something not.
Yeah.
A little genuine.
Usually find like their kids or their pets.
Yeah. It's like just finding that common ground and then that relationship just kind of flourishes on its own. It's super natural. And then the conversation just kind of happens. Oh, what do you do? This is what I do. Oh, I'm going on a trip soon to Nashville. Have you ever been there? It's my first time. Things like that, it just kind of goes.
I think I've noticed since in the past couple of weeks, I've been trying to reach out to just people that I know already on Facebook and that I've talked to. And so when I was in college, apparently I messaged the crap out of everybody all the time. And so now whenever I message somebody, it like pops up from like 2007, what I was talking about. And I'm like mortified, but at the same time, it's like, well, this is a great conversation starter. Can you believe
can you believe that nonsense I said?
Yeah. So every message I've been like, oh my gosh.
Mine are all like, when I first started Beachbody, I was so excited and I was that coach that message, like every single person was like, hey, join my challenge group. And then that pops up. I'm like, damn it. Like that's the last thing they're going to see of what we talked about. And usually it's, hey, join my challenge group. And then they say nothing. So I'm like, hey, just say hi again.
Yeah. But that's a good way to start. And then I think too, like, I guess just the amount of the reach outs that you do, just like, I mean, try to be genuine. I think that's my number one goal, to find something I can comment about. But if there's nothing, just saying, hey, we haven't talked in a while and just wanted to see how you were doing. And, if I know something in the back of my head about them, I'll say that. But then more often than not, like at least today that I've been reaching out, and I know a couple of the people that I've gotten interested in stuff have been saying like, hey, I saw that you've been doing all this Beachbody stuff. So like it literally, they see you're doing it, whether they're telling you about it or not. And so the more people you reach out to, the more often they're going to say that probably. And I think that's kind of an in, because even though I don't directly go back into Beachbody when I respond, it's more of like, I feel like they're more open to it because they're bringing it up. And so if they didn't want to, then you'll get like a yes or no answer. I'm fine. How are you? Not like, oh, I've seen you've been doing all these workouts. You're so inspirational. Like that's kind of interesting. So, I mean, that's kind of nice. So
Have you guys all gotten that kind of a message since you've been a coach?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, I've seen what you're doing. You're like kicking ass. Like, you're inspiring me.
Yeah.
I've run into people at the bar and they're like, hey, I've been seeing your Facebook posts. What are you doing?
Isn't that awesome?
Like,
See, that's
"Oh,
when you know
cool."
you're doing something right. When people are coming up to you and they're like, hey, you're looking good. I saw what you did on Facebook. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
that distance crap they keep telling me works. Does anybody have anything else? You guys want to add anything? No? All right, I'll stop recording. Thanks, guys, who's watching. That's being recorded.